welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to episode 2 of Halloween, where we are counting down the days until Halloween, which is my absolute favorite holiday in the entire world. I have already filmed this video once and it didn't work out at all. So there's that. So hopefully I can keep up the same energy that I had while I filmed it the first time. We are going to be doing a book haul today. I have 15 books, I think. Yes, 15 books. And the first 5 of them are thriller. Then I have a couple of witchy reads, and then I have some young adult fantasy, and I think that's it, I think. But we're going to start off with the thriller, which is why I named this a thriller book haul, because I know you guys all love thrillers. And I think I got some good ones here today. So the first 10 books I picked up from my local thrift store, which is called Value Village, which is a huge thrift store chain here in Canada. And they do this deal where if you buy 4, you get the 5th one free. So that's what I did, and I picked up 10 books that day. I got 5 thrillers and 5 young adult fantasies. So let's start off with the thrillers. These all look so good, you guys. I can't wait to get into them. They look awesome. Okay, so first of all, we are going to start off with Mary Kubica's Every Last Lie. I have read another one of Mary Kubica's books, and that was Local Woman Missing. I really enjoyed it. I rated it a 5 out of 5. I've never read anything else by her, so I'm excited to read this one and see if I really just enjoy her as an author. Usually if I give 5 stars to 2 books, typically that's going to become an author that I'm going to look forward to every time they put out a new book. So let's read the synopsis. It says, Clara Solberg's world shatters when her husband and their 4-year-old daughter are in a car crash, killing Nick while Maisie is remarkably unharmed. The crash is ruled an accident until the coming days, when Maisie starts having night terrors that make Clara question what really happened on that fateful afternoon. Tormented by grief and her obsession that Nick's death was far more than just an accident, Clara is plunged into a desperate hunt for the truth. Who would have wanted Nick dead? And more important, why? Clara will stop at nothing to find out, and the truth is only the beginning of this twisted tale of secrets and deceit. And it says it's told in alternating perspectives of Clara's investigation and Nick's last months leading up to the crash. So that one sounds really good. It almost reminds me of Her Every Fear, I think. Can't remember who it's by. No, not Her Every Fear. If I remember, I'll place it here. But the one where, oh, the last thing he told me by Laura Dave, something like that. Laura Dave, Maura Dave, I think Laura Dave. Where this woman's husband just inexplicably goes missing, and she is kind of set on the run, and she's realizing things about him that she didn't know, that he was involved in some shady things, some shady dealings that maybe put himself in this situation. Kind of reminds me of that. So we'll see if it's anything like it. Next is The Stranger in Our Home by Sophie Draper, and I think this one's a brand new book, you guys. It's in such good condition. And this one says, when her stepmother dies unexpectedly, Carol returns to her childhood home in the rural English countryside. Although she hadn't seen Elizabeth in years, the remote farmhouse offers refuge from a bad relationship and a chance to start again. But going through Elizabeth's belongings unearths memories that Carol would rather stay buried. In particular, a story her stepmother would taunt her with about 2 little girls and the terrible things they do. As heavy snow traps Carol in the village, where her neighbors stare and whisper, she is forced to question why Elizabeth hated her so much and what she was hiding. But does Carol really want to uncover the truth? It says, perfect fans for Ruth Ware and Cass Green. This one almost seems like it could have a paranormal aspect to it too. Like, is this legend real? Like, is she trapped in this house and then she starts to realize that there is something to this legend? I don't know. Sounds really good though. Next is she's okay. Next is Woman on the Edge by Samantha M. Bailey. And this one sounds really, really interesting. And this is going to be a really quick read too. It's under 300 pages. It's only 259 pages. And it says right on the front, basically the entire plot. She gave you her baby and then she jumped. In a split second, Morgan Kincaid's life changes forever. She's on her way home from work when a mother begs her to take her baby, placing the infant in Morgan's arms. The distraught woman then jumps in front of an oncoming train before Morgan can stop her. Morgan has never seen this woman before, and she can't understand what would cause a person to give away her child and take her own life. And how did this woman know her name? When the police take Morgan in for questioning, she learns that the woman who jumped was Nicole Markham, prominent CEO of an athletic brand Breathe. She also learns that no witness can corroborate her version of the events, which means she's just become a murder suspect. To prove her innocence, Morgan frantically retraces the last days of Nicole's life. Was Nicole a new mother struggling with paranoia, or was she in danger? When strange things start happening to Morgan, she suddenly realizes she might be in danger too. How good does that sound? I want to know why that woman knew her name. Like, what is up? What's going on with that? Okay, second to last thriller is The Guest Room by Chris Bohjalian. And this one, this one kind of, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be thriller-y. The reason that I picked it up because it sounds like it's going to be about the sex slave industry, or the sex slave trade. Which is very fascinating to me. It says this is a spellbinding tale of a party gone horribly wrong. Two men lie dead in a suburban living room. Two women are on the run from police, and a marriage is ripping apart at the seams. When Kristen Chapman agrees to let her husband Richard host his brother's bachelor party, she expects a certain amount of debauchery. She takes their young daughter to Manhattan for the evening, leaving her Westchester home to the men and their hired entertainment. What she does not expect is this: Bacchanalian drunkenness, her husband sharing a dangerously intimate moment in his guest room, and two women stabbing and killing their Russian bodyguards before driving off into the night. In the aftermath, Kristen and Richard's life rapidly spirals into nightmare. The police throw them out of their home, now a crime scene. Richard's investment banking firm puts him on indefinite leave, and Kristen is unsure if she can forgive her husband for the moment he shared with the dark-haired girl in the guest room. But the dark-haired girl, Alexandra, faces a much graver danger. In one breathless, violent night, she is free, running to escape the police who she fears will arrest her, and the gangsters who she knows will kill her. A captivating, chilling story about shame and scandal. The Guest Room is a riveting novel from one of our greatest storytellers. So yeah, I'm interested in that for that reason. Sounds really interesting. And the last thriller that we are going to talk about is by Lisa Unger, Under My Skin. I don't know if I like this cover. It's very like this blurry effect. It kind of hurts my eyes. But I digress. It says, what if the nightmares are actually memories? It's been a year since Poppy's husband Jack was brutally murdered during his morning run through Manhattan's Riverside Park. In the immediate aftermath, Poppy spiraled into an oblivion of grief, despairing for several days, only to turn up ragged and confused, wearing a tight red dress she didn't recognize. What happened to Poppy during those lost days? And more importantly, what happened to Jack? The case was never solved, and Poppy has finally begun to move on. But those lost days have never stopped haunting her. Poppy starts having nightmares and blackouts. There are periods of time she can't remember, and she's unable to tell the difference between what is real and what she's imagining. When she begins to sense that someone is following her, Poppy is plunged into a game of cat and mouse, determined to unravel the mystery around her husband's death. But can she really handle the truth about what happened? That one also sounds good. I'm so excited for all of these. Do you ever just like get new books and you just want to read them all at the same time? That's me right now. Okay, so now we're gonna move on. I'm going to take a break from the Value Village haul, and we're gonna talk about 5 books that I picked up from Book Outlet. So we're gonna talk about the witchy reads first, because it's spooky season. And we're gonna talk about this one that has such a pretty color, and it's cover, and it's called The Orphan Witch, and it's by Paige Crutcher. How pretty is that cover? You guys know I love witchy books. And this one says, Persephone May has been alone in her entire life. Abandoned as an infant and dragged through the foster care system, she wants nothing more than to belong somewhere, to someone. But unexplainable things happen when she's around. Changes in weather, inanimate objects taking flight, that result in her being cast out. To cope, she never gets attached. She moves around, leaving one town for another when curiosity over her eccentric behavior inevitably draws unwanted attention. After an accidental and very public display of power, Persephone knows it's time to move on once again. It's lucky then when she receives an email from the one friend she's managed to keep, inviting her to the elusive Weil Isle. The timing couldn't be more perfect. However, upon arrival, Persephone quickly discovers that Weil is no ordinary island. In fact, it just might hold the very thing she's been searching for her entire life: answers, family, and a home. And something she did not want, like 100-year-old curses and even older family feud. With the clock running out, love might be the magic that saves her after all. This one just sounds really good, like a witchy read about a witch finding her place in the world. That's up my alley. Sorry you guys, my memory card was filled up, so I had to take care of that. Okay, where am I? Okay. So we're gonna talk about this one, The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek. And this one I think has something to do with the Greek myths. It sounds very Greek mythology / witchy. We'll see. Angrboda's story begins where most witches' tales end, with a burning. A punishment from Odin for refusing to provide him with knowledge of the future. The fire leaves Angrboda, I don't know if I'm saying that right, by the way, injured and powerless, and she flees to the farthest reaches of a remote forest. There she is found by a man who reveals himself to be Loki, and her initial distrust of him transforms into a deep and abiding love. Their union produces 3 unusual children, each with his secret destiny, who Angrboda is keen to raise at the edge of the world, safely hidden from Odin's all-seeing eye. But as Angrboda slowly recovers her prophetic powers, she learns that her blissful life, and possibly all of existence, is in danger. With help from the fierce huntress Skadi, with whom she shares a growing bond, Angrboda must choose whether she'll accept the fate that she's foreseen for her beloved family, or rise to remake their future. From the most ancient of tales, this novel forges a story of love, loss, and a hope for the modern age. Okay, so next is a book that I have actually read in the past that I really, really enjoyed, and it is a nonfiction book, but I read it on audiobook, and I saw it on Book Outlet, and it was under $2, so I thought I'm just going to go ahead and pick up a physical copy of it just to have it, and that is The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. So Shonda Rhimes, if you do not know who that is, she is a producer, I think, and a writer for hit television series Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice, and Scandal. And so she is the type of person who is, to be honest with you, a lot like myself. And so I really related to her when I was listening to this. And basically she's very introverted and she doesn't like to get out of her comfort zone for anything. And she starts to notice that this is really starting to hinder her life. So she makes herself a promise that for an entire year, she is going to say yes to every single opportunity that arises. Anytime anybody asks her anything, without any hesitation, she's just going to say yes. And she kind of documents this process and sees how it completely transforms her life. And it's so interesting to see how she changes as a person within that year and all the opportunities that end up coming her way because of this. So, you know, like she ends up getting way more opportunities than she would have before because one thing leads to another. She says yes to something and then she either meets somebody out of it or she just ends up gaining an opportunity somehow that she wouldn't have been able to gain if she had said no to, you know, A, B, or C task. So this is a really, really good self-help / nonfiction read if you are interested in that sort of thing. Next is the first book in a series, which is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I hauled a couple months ago the second book in the series, but they were out of the first one. And I'm waiting for the third one to come because they had the third one this time, but it was hardcover, and my other two are soft cover, so I don't want them to not match because I'm annoying like that. So I'm gonna wait until they have it in soft cover and pick it up then. But this series sounds really, really interesting, and one of my best friends has just raved about it, said that she's loved it so much. So, and she and I have really similar tastes in YA fantasy, so I'm sure I will like this as well. But the synopsis says, "Thou shalt kill. A world with no hunger, no disease, no war, no misery. Humanity has conquered all those things and has even conquered death. Now scythes are the only ones who can end life, and they are commanded to do so in order to keep the size of the population under control. Citra and Rowan are chosen to apprentice to a scythe, a role that neither wants. These teens must master the art of taking life, knowing that the consequence of failure could mean losing their own. They learn living in a perfect world comes only with a heavy price." So that's basically the synopsis. People have to become scythes and take lives, and that sounds very, very interesting. The last book from the Book Outlet haul is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This one I've heard about so much and I have been interested in it for a while. It's not something I typically read, but I think it'll be really, really interesting. In the real world, Eliza Merck is shy, weird, and friendless. Online, she's Lady Constellation, the anonymous creator of the wildly popular webcomic Monstrous Sea. Eliza can't imagine enjoying the real world as much as she loves the online one, and she has no desire to try. Then, Wallace Warland, Monstrous Sea's biggest fanfiction writer, transfers to her school. Wallace thinks Eliza is just another fan, and as he draws her out of her shell, she begins to wonder if a life offline might be worthwhile. But when Eliza's secret is accidentally shared with the world, everything she's built, her story, her relationship with Wallace, and even her sanity begins to fall apart. All right, so going back to the Value Village haul, I picked up 5 of these books within this same series, or not even necessarily same series, but same world, by Cassandra Clare. And that is several of the Mortal Instruments series, and then also the trilogy of the Infernal Devices. So I have been reading, I have a lot of these books in physical copies, which I picked up from Value Village, but I've been listening to them on audiobook, and I wasn't sure if I had this one. I was in the city and I had nobody here to like check and see if I had it or not. And so I picked it up anyways, but I did. This is actually a double. So this is book 4 of the Mortal Instruments series, and this is City of Fallen Angels. So like I said, I've been listening to them on audiobook, and I was a little bit unsure if I wanted to continue with them or not, but I've read 4 of them now, and I really liked the 3rd one, but then I went back to not liking it as much for the 4th one. It's not that I don't like it, it's just that they're getting 3s from me, which is just kind of like meh, you know. So I picked up that one, and then I also picked up book 5, and this one is unfortunately in the hardcover, but whatever. I'm not seeing these as often as I used to in Value Village, so I thought I better just get it anyways, even if it is in hardcover. So I've got book 5 of that as well. And then I picked up the entire kind of spin-off series of that, and that is the Infernal Devices trilogy. I think it's just a trilogy, but I picked up book 1, 2, and 3. So that is Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Princess, and Clockwork Prince. So I have no idea what these ones are about. But basically, if you are unfamiliar with this series, it's basically about shadow hunters, which are demon slayers, teenage demon slayers. And it's about our main character, Clary, who in the first book kind of stumbles into this world and starts to learn more about it, and we start to follow her adventures as she makes friends with these shadow hunters and ends up kind of being thrust into that life herself, and we are kind of following what goes on with that. So that is it. That is the end of my haul. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below what I should read first out of these books. I just want to read them all at once. Anyways, I hope you guys are having an awesome day. I'm going to be back here every day until Halloween with a new video, so make sure you go ahead and click the subscribe button and turn on your bell so that you get notifications of when my new video goes live. And I love you guys. Happy Halloween, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!